Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Old Sign Sage's first official non-educational video. Even though there's going to be some education here, but this is not related to the eighth grade curriculum that we usually do for my students. So, forgive the camera; it's kind of grainy. It's an internal camera. Hopefully, I can get an external one in a few months, and I'll probably go back and redo some of these. So, it is what it is. So this entire week, I've been feeling really philosophical, like really philosophical, and I kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there about a philosophical topic that's been in my head for a few years. Now, if you don't know, I'm like huge into philosophy. I love philosophy. I love talking about philosophy, reading philosophy, listening to philosophy, discussing and having debates with people about different philosophical ideas. If you like movies and learning about philosophy in movies, a great channel to watch on YouTube is Wisecrack. They take different movies and television shows like Star Wars, Star Trek, Rick and Morty, different shows like that, the Batman series, the Marvel series, and they just break down all the philosophical ideas that are in those movies and television shows. So if you're kind of into that type of thing or just like listening about movies, that's a good station to watch. But anyway, the thing that was kind of going in my mind recently was the idea of charisma versus authenticity. Now, I kind of did a quick Google search to kind of go over to keep my thoughts marshaled. But the definition of charisma is compelling attractiveness, a charm that can inspire devotion in others. Being charismatic is exercising a compelling charm, which inspires devotion in others. That's basically just saying that if you have charisma, if you're a charismatic person, people are automatically drawn to you. You have something innately inside you that makes people want to be near you, be around you, talk with you, be friends with you. That's what charisma is. If you have charisma, it's a little bit easier to navigate certain avenues in life because you have that likability factor kind of out of nowhere. Now, for authenticity, being authentic, that basically just means being genuine, just being real, be thyself. Now, that may seem really easy to do. So you say, oh, I could be authentic. It's just me being me. It's a lot harder than what it seems. So authenticity, which I was surprised to find out that this is actually a school of thought or a topic in philosophy with some philosophers when I was doing my little search. We have a lot of societal norms and expectations in society for us as humans, and it's really hard to be authentic because if you do something or think outside of those norms, then you could become an outcast, which is not something normally people want to do. So, for example, this is a really silly analogy. If you hate chocolate, you don't like chocolate, all your friends around you, all your neighbors, they all like chocolate, and then they come to you to give you some chocolate, and you eat it because you don't want to basically upset the apple cart. Like, oh yeah, I kind of dig it, yeah, ha ha ha. That's you being inauthentic. So you could tell like how it'd be hard. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or cause conflict or be ridiculed. So you kind of play along to get along. That is, excuse me, it's my son in the back. That's kind of that's why it's so difficult to be authentic. And if you notice, that's kind of a choice. Being authentic or not being authentic or being inauthentic, that seems to be a choice. And we'll kind of come back to that. Just to talk about charisma for a little bit. In Christian theology, charisma or charisme, as it's called, is an endowment or an extraordinary power given by the Holy Spirit. I saw that on Wikipedia. So basically, in layman's terms, you have to be born with charisma, right? It's given to you. Either you have it or you don't have it. Now, I'm under the idea that that's actually true. I don't think you can gain charisma later in life. I think charisma is something either you have or you don't have in life. And we all know friends that we've grown up with or people who just automatically folks are drawn to them. I have friends, and I know this is anecdotal, but I have friends who just like, man, as soon as we walk by, people just automatically want to start talking to them and be friends with them. One of my roommates in college, my best friend now, my best friend in middle school, like there's certain people which you be like, oh, well, you hung around a lot of charismatic people, yeah. uh, but they're really charismatic. People just come in and want to talk to them, be friends with them, and it's really easy for them. I don't think everybody can have that. I don't think that's something that we all have. So, for example, I don't think I had charisma. So, charisma, when you don't have it, you don't have people kind of wanting to be your friend. You don't have people who want to come and talk to you and be cool with you. That's just something you don't have. Like I mentioned before, having charisma makes it a lot easier to navigate some of those avenues in life, because if you automatically are likable, people are more willing to do things for you. Um, so that's the reason I say is this video is against or versus charisma versus authenticity. So authenticity can be confused with charisma sometimes. So for example, in Psychology Today, they were saying that you could build or develop charisma. Like if you started paying attention to people when they talk, or you seem to be real engaged with them, you can develop your charisma. I think that's false. I don't think you can develop charisma. I think what they're talking about is developing authenticity, or the veneer or the look of authenticity. Whereas if you're authentic, or if you have authenticity as a person, like you can not have authenticity when you're young, gain it later in life, or you can have authenticity when you're young and lose it in life. So a lot of my eighth graders won't understand this just because they don't have enough life experiences. But some of you older folks, or even seniors, juniors, seniors of high school, you'll know this. You'll know how a person was one way when they were younger, and they were really honest and forthcoming and trustworthy. And then as they got older, they lost that. You could lose that authenticity, or a person you didn't particularly care for because they did seem to duplicitous, or someone you couldn't trust, or they didn't seem like themselves. And as life went on, they developed that authenticity. So that's where my thoughts come in at with the two. Like with authenticity, you can get that. Like that's what you're developing. You won't a lot of times you won't have it when you're younger. You have to gain that where you're yourself. Like you're a real person. You're keeping it real. Sorry, it's my stove. You're keeping it real, and that's not the Dave Chappelle aspect of keeping it real. Like I know a lot of you guys know that skit where in Dave Chappelle skit, somebody came at them and offended Dave Chappelle's character, and he just went off, cussed the guy out because he felt like that's what he should do for his community. That's actually the opposite of authenticity. That's where you are doing something where you felt your community would expect you to do. So that's societal community expectations. That's the opposite of authenticity. Authenticity is where you do the opposite of, not the opposite of what's expected of you, but you do what's real for you, what's comfortable for you. I always liken it to, if someone I don't care for does something that I don't like, of course I'm going to be against it. But if someone that I do like does the same exact thing, I have to also be against it and not like it. And that's authenticity. Authenticity means you have to be consistent with it. You have to consistently say, hey, these are my beliefs. This is, what I like, what I don't like, and I'm going to stick with this all the time. And that's really hard. I liken it to, I like anime and manga, and I liken it to the Naruto series with the character Sasuke and Rock Lee. Sasuke would be charisma. People really like Sasuke. He didn't really have to work hard for a lot of his abilities, and it's really easy for him to do things. Whereas you had Rock Lee, who had to work really hard for people to even like him and acknowledge him. And he got there where he was acknowledged just like Sasuke, but it took him years and years and years to get it because he had to work for it. That's authenticity and charisma in a nutshell. People sometimes are upset because they don't have charisma, or they think that, or charismatic people think everyone has charisma, so they're looking at it like, why can't you do what I do? It's like, no, bro, like you don't have charisma. Like I can't move the way you move. But if you don't have charisma, don't be upset about it. Like some people who don't have charisma are upset because, like, oh man, I can't. It's so easy for this guy to do this. It's so easy for that lady to do that. That girl to do that. But if you work on your authenticity, you can gain that. It takes some work, it takes some time, but you can get that likability factor. You can get that where yeah, it may not be as easy for you to navigate certain areas in life, to get jobs, to get where you need to get within your job once you get there. But just work hard to be authentic, and it'll come. It may be a little bit more rewarding because you actually had to work a little harder at it. Me, for example, I don't care for football particularly. I know, if I'm in a group with people who like football, if I was to be inauthentic and start trying to pretend like I know football, you know, that's going to turn people off because they're going to like, hey, this dude, he don't know what he's talking about. Like, what is he, I'm being inauthentic. They can't dig with that. But they come to me talking. I say, man, look, I don't watch football. I tell you about, Naruto, this One Piece, these anime, this Star Trek right now. You know what I'm saying? Then, they may ridicule me. They'll talk about me. I'll brush it off, and then, but they'll respect me more. And that's all it is. That's really is respect. So, don't feel like if you don't have charisma, you can't succeed in life, or if you don't have charisma, it's gonna be exceedingly difficult. Authenticity is what we have to compensate for not having charisma, and anybody can get authenticity. Just be yourself, be nice, don't be a jerk, and be authentic, keep it real without cussing people out. So that's kind of my philosophical musings about it. I can talk about that all day. If you got any questions or want to go over it, just leave some comments down below. My daughter's looking at me like, why are you saying that? So I must not be able to say leave comments down below. But thanks for listening. I appreciate it. That's me being authentic, daughter. It's me being authentic in this video. Keeping it real. I know you do. So again, thank you for listening. I'll probably do some more philosophy stuff, other videos. If you like it, hit like, share, all that stuff. And I'll see you on the next time. Peace.